Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about hominy. Now y'all that have been with us for a little while know that Miss Lori loves hominy. I use it in a lot of recipes and I just like eating it by itself. Me and Mr. Brown made a video a while back of making chili outside in the Dutch oven and we put hominy in it. And a lot of y'all commented and didn't really know what hominy was and what it tasted like and, you know, what it was even used for, really. So, as much as I like it, I thought, well, I'm going to have to do a video sometime on it. Now, most of y'all probably know hominy from being, you know, out of the can from the grocery store. And that's pretty good. But until you've tried your own cooked hominy, I mean, that's the best. And it starts from a dry state, dry hominy, just like, you know, dry corn, dry hominy. And, but there's so many different things you can do with dry hominy. So it's a really good thing to have in your pantry because it'll last forever. When it's stored up good, something in an airtight container, it's going to last you forever. Dried hominy can be cooked in the whole state. And what you do is you cook it like you would a pot of beans. You would soak it overnight. Then you'd get up the next morning and you'd rinse your hominy, put it in fresh water, put it on the stove with a little bit of salt, and cook it for 2 or 3 hours till it's real tender and it just plumps up and just really has a really good taste to it. Or, from its dry state, you can grind it up for grits. You can grind it up to make cornbread. And once you cook your hominy, if you cook it, like I said, from just like you would a pot of beans, and you cool it down, put it in your food processor, and grind it up, and you can make masa out of it. And then your masa can be used for tamales and tortillas and stuff like that. So it's just a wonderful thing to have in your pantry. And you can buy the dried hominy in a lot of different places online. I'll try to put a couple places down in my description box where you can order some if you're interested in it. I'm just going to read something here. It says, hominy corn is dried corn that has been treated with an alkaline solution. Now, years ago, and even to this day, a lot of people use lye to treat the hominy, the dried hominy. And then a lot of people, like just say your average Joe at home that's just going to make a little bit of hominy up on their cook stove, they would use maybe like a lime, a pickling lime or something like that. But it's an alkaline solution, and what it does, once you treat your hominy, your corn, it removes the hull and the germ. And this ancient process called nixtamalization makes the corn easier to grind and to use for cooking. It also gives the corn a delicious earthy flavor, which is, I guess that's why I love it so much. And that earthy flavor is what you taste in tamales and homemade tortillas and stuff like that. And besides that, when it goes through that treatment, it also makes it more digestible. So if it's more digestible, it's more nutrition. There's a lot of people that say, well, corn don't have excuse me, don't have a lot of nutrients, but it does have some. It has niacin and different things like that. It says dried hominy corn can be cooked whole, can be ground into cornmeal, and can be ground into grits. And it can be ground more coarsely into cracked hominy corn. Cracked hominy corn is available in the U.S. in many grocery stores. It's easily cooked on the top of the stove, and it's even cooked in a slow cooker. Now, I've never cooked it in a slow cooker. It's delicious as a breakfast porridge with butter and syrup or as a savory side. And that's the way I like eating it, is hominy grits as a savory side. And of course, you can grind it up in your food processor to make masa. It says it will keep cooked masa, or your cooked hominy says it will stay good in your refrigerator for up to a week. I'm not real sure about that one, but it's just a real good thing. I think having any kind of dried corn or hominy or something like that in your pantry in a big bucket with a good lid on it is a good thing to have. And I know a lot of you guys have probably family members, your grandma, your great-grandma, or somebody that has, they used to go out and they'd take even field corn and they'd have a big old pot out in the yard over a fire, and they'd use lye, and they'd treat that corn anyways. They'd end up with hominy, and so they've been doing it for years and years and years. But what we're going to do today is I've got some dried hominy in there, and we're going to show you how to grind it up, and we're going to make some cornbread out of it. I'm also going to make some grits out of fresh ground hominy, and then I'm going to soak some overnight, and then we're going to cook some up the next day. And I just want to show you all the different ways you can use hominy, because a lot of y'all were interested in it, and because I love it so much. So let's get in the kitchen and let's get started. This right here is it's hominy, and it's been cracked. Cracked, what you would, some people would say cracked corn, but this is cracked hominy because this was cooked in pickling lime. And that's how they used to do it, is with lime that you would use in your kitchen, like for pickling and stuff like that. And what we're doing is we're grinding it up to make some cornbread, and we've ground it up to the certain consistency for grits.
Is it coarser ground?
It's a coarser ground
for grits.
For grits. And this here, is this you say third time?
Third time.
Third time. And this is what it starts out. And this is the third time of grinding.
You might could do it 2 times, but 3, it's just easier to do. You get a little finer.
Does that feel good?
Yeah, almost like flour, but not quite.
So this is going to be really good to make cornbread, and you could use it to make tamales. So that's just a couple of things that you can do with dried hominy. And of course, when corn or, you know, hominy, corn, anything like that is dried like this, it's going to last in your pantry for a long time. So that's a good way to, it's just a good pantry item. And this is what a lot of people buy in the grocery stores, but it's in a can, and it's in It's soft. It's already been processed and cooked. But this is at the dry state here before we cook it. So that's just a few things. So what we're going to do, now that we've showed you the process, from your dried hominy to a coarser grind for grits, and then we have a fine grind for cornbread or for making tamales. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook up some grits, and we're going to make some cornbread. And then, after me letting this soak overnight, tomorrow when I come in, we'll cook up some hominy. Okay, to start cooking our grits, we're going to put 2 cups of half and half. And 2 cups of water. We're going to bring this up to a boil. Okay, our liquid has come to a boil. I'm going to add a good amount of salt. About 2 teaspoons. Then we're going to slowly add in our grits. And this is a cup of grits to 4 cups of liquid. Now this should come back up to a little bit of a boil. You see it's come back up to a boil. Now I'm going to turn my heat down. I'm going to turn it real low. I'm going to put a lid on it. And I'm going to let this simmer for about 30 minutes. And then we'll check it. And we're going to make a pan of cornbread out of our freshly ground hominy corn. Now I've got 2 cups of our ground hominy. And it's not as soft as flour. It's a little bit coarse. And there's a lot of people that like really coarse cornbread made out of really coarse cornmeal. But I like mine just a little bit more ground than that. So we got 2 cups, and I've got a half a cup of flour. Now there's a lot of people that think that, especially when you're making it out of fresh ground corn or hominy corn, don't add any flour to it, but I like to add just a little bit of flour, not a whole lot. I think it gives it a smoother, a better texture, adding just a little bit of flour. We're going to put a teaspoon and a half of baking powder. We're going to put a half a teaspoon of baking soda. We're going to put 2 teaspoons of salt. And optional, I'm going to put just a little bit of sugar, not much. And I got my oven heated to 425. We would make it in a wood cook stove, but we don't even have a fire tonight. The house is warm. We've been at work all day, so we haven't built a fire. Okay, we got that mixed up. I'm going to start out with about 1.5 cups of buttermilk. And go from there. I'm going to put 2 fresh eggs. And we'll just stir this up and we'll see how thick it is. If it's too thick, I'll put just a little bit more buttermilk in it. The thing about using, what I love about using hominy corn, it just has more of a authentic taste to me. The process it goes through, that really, it brings that corn kernel just busted open, and it just brings all that nutty taste out of it. I think that consistency is pretty good. So I'm going to put my iron skillet. Let's see, I've got it ready. I've got a pretty good tablespoon of bacon grease in here. I'm going to put it in a hot oven, and I'm going to heat my pan up. I got my hot skillet out of my oven. It's got a good tablespoon of bacon grease in it. I'm going to add a little bit of butter. Just swirl that around and let it melt. And we're going to take our cornbread batter. And what it does when you heat your skillet up like that before you put your batter in there, it's going to help form a brown, crusty, crispy bottom on it. So we're going to put this back in the oven, 425. My oven differs from other people. It usually takes about 20 minutes for this size cornbread to cook. Our grits have been cooking for about 35 minutes. And they're good and tender, and look how creamy that is. Good texture. Now, while your grits are cooking, if you check them to stir them, and you think that they're cooking too fast and you need to add just a little bit more liquid, just add you a little bit of water to it. Because some people will cook their grits sometimes for an hour. And if you want to cook them for an hour, that's great, but you'll probably have to add you a little bit more liquid. These cook for 35 minutes and they're just right. I'm going to add some pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, I'm going to add just a little bit more salt, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of butter. And I've still got the burner on low. I'm going to stir that up good. Now I'm going to turn my stove off. And you see how creamy they are. Now, I'm going to add pepper jack cheese. Probably just a little less than a cup. I'm just going to stir that till the cheese melts. Let's get us a little bowl and taste it. Okay, we got our fresh grits here, and we've got a pan of cornbread. So we're going to taste it. We're going to cut Mr. Brown a piece of cornbread and let him taste it. It's good and brown, crunchy like we like it. Put a little butter on there. It's good and hot.
Burn my tongue.
It's gonna burn your tongue. This is gonna be so good. Okay, so we got the hard job of tasting all this. Well, it sounds crunchy.
Man, that's good.
I love grits.
And I love crunchy cornbread. Fresh, really fresh.
So guys, I can't tell you enough. If you can keep you some dried hominy in the pantry, it's well worth it. I can tell you that much. Making your own grits, grinding your own cornmeal, and doing it from dried hominy with that nutty flavor just makes it so worth it. So, y'all gotta try it. I love the garlic and the pepper jack cheese. Good. So, that's really good. Now we're going to show you how to cook a pot of hominy from the whole you got your whole hominy kernels there dry. We're going to be soaking these overnight, then we'll be cooking them tomorrow. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Okay, I'm wanting to make me some hominy tomorrow. So I'm going to take my dried hominy, and I think I'll just do about a cup, since I'm really the only one that eats much of it. And what I'm going to do is just cover it with water, just like you would dry beans, and I'll let them soak overnight. You need to let them soak at least 12 hours, really, at least that long, before you rinse them and put them in your pot, fill it up with water with a little bit of salt, and then we'll cook them, and we'll have us some good old hominy. Okay, so it's the next day, and I want to finish up on this hominy and 3 different ways of cooking it. And y'all have to excuse how I look. I just come in from work. I have been in and out of the rain all day, and I want to get this video wrapped up. So, and I've been wanting to share this with y'all for a while. But anyways, so we put our hominy in a glass bowl last night and covered it with water, just like you would dry beans, and we soaked it overnight. So this morning when I got up, I knew that when I got home from work I would not have enough time to cook this hominy the way it needed to be cooked, which would be on top of the stove, covered with water, with a little bit of salt and some butter, and about 2.5, 3 hours. Depends on how much you're cooking. Now, I'm just cooking a handful. So I got this morning, I thought, you know what? I'm going to throw what I soaked over, and I'm just going to throw it in my slow cooker, put it on low, and cook it all day. And it'll be done when I get home, and that's exactly what, I took the lid off that, and it smells so good. If you like hominy and you just love that earthy smell, it smells good. So, I'm going to show you the results. And like I said, I just cooked a handful because, you know, it's just me and Mr. Brown. We won't be eating a whole lot of it right now, but I wanted to show y'all the 3 different ways of how you can, you know, keep your dry hominy in your pantry, and 3 different ways you can cook it. So, I'm going to bring you down here and I'm going to show you what the hominy looks like after it's cooked all day in the slow cooker. Okay, you can see down here in my slow cooker. Now, this was just a handful of hominy. I don't even think it was a cup full. It was close, but you can see after it's cooked all day how it plumped up. You can see how it's just puffed up like that, and it's just tender and soft. So, I've never cooked hominy in a slow cooker before, but I'm going to tell you, I'm really impressed. It just cooked on low all day. So, that's just another way of cooking dry hominy. And I can tell you, it is so tender and soft. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drain this, because I'm going to show you how I'm going to cook it up for supper. Even though it's cooked already, you can eat it just like this. Just put you some more salt and pepper on it, or maybe a little bit of garlic and some more butter, and you got a meal right here. Throw this in some soup, chili, anything like that. But I'm going to show you how I'm going to drain this, and I'm just going to kind of throw it in a skillet with some butter, a little bit of garlic, and I'm going to eat this stuff. I'm really excited. So, dried hominy, it's a good thing. Okay, I've drained my hominy, and that's what it looks like. And in my skillet, I've got it over medium heat. I'm just going to put me some butter. Put me a little bit of garlic. I'm not even going to wait for my butter to melt. And I'm just going to saute my garlic just a little bit, for just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw my hominy in there. We're not going to put any kind of liquid in here. It smells so good. I'm telling you, the earthiness is just, it's just so good. The smell, and I think that's just the reason I like it so much, and the reason that I love tamales and tortillas and anything that has to do with, you know, any corn or masa or hominy, or, you know, that's why I love grits and cornbread. I think I'm going to turn that up just a little bit. I'm going to put me some pepper. Y'all like my little salt and pepper shakers? I got these at Cracker Barrel. Mr. Brown took me to Cracker Barrel one morning for breakfast. We had to go to Lowe's. And they had these cute little salt and pepper shakers. And the salt shaker's a little pig. I just thought those were cute. So I'm just going to saute this up just a little bit because it's already cooked. Won't take very long. Okay, our hominies smelling good, and it's good and sauteed up there. We're fixing to taste it. Now, there's so many different ways you can use hominy. So many recipes. And this just is one of the really good ones that I enjoy. You know, I could have took this hominy when I was sauteing it. I could have scrambled up some eggs with it and maybe threw in some green chilies. That would have been really good too. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video and learned maybe a few things about hominy, dried hominy, the process of it, and just different ways you can eat it and cook it and use it. Because I do know that it's in my pantry and always will be. Because I tell you, dry corn, dry hominy, it'll last a coon age in your pantry. So it'll last for a very long time. And it's just another good thing to be sustainable in your pantry. So I hope, if y'all have never ate hominy, I hope y'all try it. I will put some links down below maybe for some dried hominy. I'm sure there's different places out there that you can buy it by the bulk that might be a little bit cheaper, but I'd have to really do some big research on that. I do buy it, and it is in my pantry. There is one company I buy it from. It's nuts.com, and then I do get it off Amazon from different companies through Amazon. So, but it's just a really good thing to have. Now, we all know that they have, for years and years and years, that was the only way that they had to put up their corn, because the ladies, they couldn't, back in the day, they couldn't can everything. A lot of times they didn't have jars. They didn't have even a water bath canner. And, you know, their water was drawn up from maybe the creek or something a lot of times. So what they did, and what some people still do, is after they harvest their corn, before they harvest it, they let it dry on the stalk. And then they harvest it. And then they shuck it, but they always leave the end on the end of the corn. And they would throw it in I'm sure there's different ways, but it was some kind of corn crib. That's what I'm thinking of. Corn crib. So a lot of people had corn cribs, and they throw it in there and let it dry, because they could take that corn whenever they needed to either make cornmeal or just to eat the corn. They would hydrate it. They would cook it till it got tender again, and that's just a way that they kept it stored. So, you know, this has been going on for a very, very long time. So if you're looking for another thing to put in your pantry, and you never thought about dried corn or dried hominy, of course hominy is corn, but it's went through the process, being treated, and so now it's hominy, and we discussed that. But you can even look that up and research it a little bit more if you want to. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoy this video, because I always enjoy y'all being with us. And we're getting a lot of rain. Now, I think it's going to continue to rain for about a week now, but that's okay, because we're just coming out of the cold snow, and a lot of people had really hard time, and we're just still praying for those people trying to get back to a normal life after that winter storm. So try you some hominy, even if you have to buy it already canned in the store. And we'll be seeing y'all next time. Don't know what we'll be doing, but we'll be doing something. We love y'all, and God bless.